inspiration. In a world gone mad, they find their peace. Hand in hand, their laughter does not cease. Team venture, bound by fate, facing endless hordes at the gate. Back at Beaver's end of day, all you can eat in the moonlight's red. In a land where living fears don't sleep, two heroes roam, secrets they keep. Captain Pav and GONxFREAKs set the scene, fighting endless hordes, sharp and keen. Through zombie throngs they make a way, in shadows they dance by night and day. With a wink and a nod they never tire, fueled by their bond and burning fire. Oh, team venture, brave and bold, fighting the night, hearts of gold. At Beaver's tables they delight, all you can eat till morning light. Undead minions rise but they stay calm, blading with their secret charm. With every bite they laugh and jest, at Beaver's shelter they find their rest. Captain Pav with a twirl and a spin.
All right. Welcome. Let's get this music out of here. Who's joining us? Happy finance. Oh, I just assumed Catterday was coming. Oh,
Catterday
shit.
was yesterday.
We're financial days today, baby. It's the day of rest and reflection over the things we've done recently and making sure we're living good, productive lives. And that's what we're here to check out today. As we can
love
see,
money.
I think. What do you think? 3 month change, $700,000. That seems pretty good. That sounds productive to me. What do you think?
That sounds very productive. You can buy a lot of Hershey bars with that.
Now, to be fair, I put 120 in, so this is actually 580. But 580 for 3 months is still not bad, I would say overall.
I think it's a little better than not bad.
Now, this is what I was telling you. On Friday, I closed out a bunch of my positions, made over $100,000 on Friday. But I would have made like $500,000 if I had just sold the gap up the other day. And I had all the indicators. I was like, all right, if it drops below this, just sell it. Don't worry about it. And I was like, nah, it's gonna go back.
Why didn't you? What happened?
Because I got greedy. I was a greedy bitch.
Greedy? Greed is
greedy?
A sin. You shouldn't get
bitch.
greedy.
Ended up costing me $400,000, you stupid
That's what
bitch.
happens when you sin. You lose money.
So whatever. So that was this little shenanigans right here. If I would have just gone bloop, I'd have been so fucking happy because I'd have reloaded right here and it'd have been to the god darn poopy doopy next line right here. This would have been a bloop, but instead it was a little dip-a-doody-dee-doo here. So, anyway, we're here to talk about a few things, people, and I just wanted to show what we're looking at. So, we've been working on this $1 million challenge. I don't want to show all of it just yet because I would like to see some likes on some of this before I go in depth on every single thing about these accounts. But for the last 3 months, you know, not too shabby. And honestly, I was shooting for 10K a week and I averaged about 30. Now, this is what we're going to really be looking at is this part from July 1st. So I rolled in $200,000 to this account and then pulled 80 out. So net 120, and that was on July 1st. So I wanted to have a clean July 1st until August kind of comparison of what's been going on. So we started July 1st with 1,125.5 effectively. And we didn't do anything. You can see just flat. A little bit of trades here, 10 grand here, 10 grand there, and then the dippity came. And we'll look at what kind of triggered why we bought that dip, or like how I knew it was time and why for 5 weeks I didn't do anything really. And then all of a sudden, or I guess 4 weeks and 4.5, bought the dip, and had I just sold the rip like you should, this would have been moonshot, but still made a lot of money. You know, I can't complain too much. I made back the 80K I pulled out plus more. So you can't really complain with that.
Really can't complain, but if you do, you're just complaining it to yourself because,
yeah, no one's gonna care.
Like you said,
no one's gonna feel sorry for me.
Not just that. No, nobody is gonna feel sorry for you.
Old Pavy right now. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you only made $100,000.
Yeah, but it's like
so sad.
I look at it like I got to get better because this isn't like, oh, had I just bought Apple at this time of the day and like whatever, put my whole account, I'd have been a billionaire. Like, okay, yeah, so what? You wouldn't do that. But what I'm saying is like,
no, that'd be crazy.
Had I actually stuck to my process and I had specific levels where I was like, if it crosses here, you're still making an ass load of money, just dump it and don't worry about it. And I was like, nah, I'm going to make more money. And it didn't work. So that's why we're here today to talk about that. But
it is fickle.
Money is fickle. So 1,125, and now we're at 1,245. So about 113,000 for this kind of duration here. Now, when we look at the account update, I updated my spreadsheets. Previously, we were beating the SPY by about $328,000 when the SPY was at 625. SPY is now at 637 as of Friday. It did go up to almost 640 last week overnight. It actually had an overnight high that we're targeting, but outperformance now is at almost 390. So it was almost 330, 390. So we've $60,000 more outperformance in 1 month compared to SPY, where the SPY moved $14. I made 60,000. Now this account, had I bought only the S&P 500, like I put all of the money in the S&P 500, it would only have gone up $8,000, and it went up 60,000. So when we look at these kind of relative benchmarks, the shitty part of like what happened is last year I ended up losing money for a variety of reasons, but even if I explained it, it would just sound like excuses. So it doesn't really matter. Needless to say, I lost money last year.
It was a learning experience, right?
It was a learning experience, and it was understanding that money does not transfer accounts quickly at all, especially between institutions. So I had like hundreds of thousands of dollars like locked up in the mail for like weeks at a time.
Gotcha.
During like critical buy days, I'd be like, my money's in the mail somewhere. I hate my life right now.
I need it. I can't get it.
Now everything is in the account where it needs to be, and I can trade it. It's been fine. And so the first part of the year was making back all the losses, plus all of the missed opportunity. So when I'm looking at these accounts, this is starting from like a $300,000 negative. So I've gone from $300,000 negative to $400,000 of outperformance in, a couple months. We're talking 4 months, and effectively that means 133% reversal over my lowest point. So my lowest drawdown is smaller than where we're at right now in terms of the profit, which is, I think, really cool. And
awesome.
When we look at each of the accounts, right, I finally have a single account that closed and held over $1 million for the whole month. So it was over $1 million. I mean, it's short-term dipped while the assets dipped, but the beginning of the month and the end of the month, $1 million balance plus. And now started this month with more than $1 million and should finish it with, I think, 1.1 million. I was actually hoping on Friday it would go up a little bit further, and this would have been 1.1 million. And we'll look at what happened, but it was still really good, and there's a chance it'll do it next week. So I have probably about 50,000 in profit I'm hoping to take off the table next week, and we'll look at where that is. But this account, annoyingly, is taxable. So when I take money out of this account, it goes to taxes. So I took 50,000 out and put it into the Roth. I'm going to have to pay tax on that, but now that it's in here, I don't have to pay tax anymore. So this account, I've made $10,000, $11,000 tax-free. And, you know, I've outperformed the SPY by about 18%. In this account, I couldn't get money into it until, you know, after the significant Trump dip. So I couldn't even get the money in there until after all that happened. And then I didn't get any significant money until like way later. So unfortunately, this account like suffered a lot from like missed opportunity. But even said, I outperformed the SPY by 20% so far this year. And the SPY on a good year is like 10%. Now we've had really good years recently, but like we're talking in a third of a year, I've already got like 2 years of growth on this account. And then my other Roth that I did manage to juice ahead of time, I made $26,000 on 11. And this is the one I was saying when we talked about Corey. I'm like, oh my God, you know, I got 100. I'm outperforming SPY by 250%. He's talking about 10% and pay him $1,500 a year or whatever for his alert service. It's like, get a clue, man. So anyway, we're getting there. We finally got, like I said, open and closed $1 million in this account. Relative to SPY, we're at about 400,000. Ideally, next week when all that closes, it'll be over 400,000 of outperformance across 2 years. So $200,000 a year of outperformance on the SPY on an initial balance, right? I mean, the contributions are 700,000, but this is like half of the account outperforming. This isn't like I started with $10 million and I'm like, oh, look, I like have a 1% edge or something. This is like, you know, pretty significant. And starting at a loss from last year is to get to this point. I'm just really like, I did not ever believe that this would happen. I was really just trying to make, you know, a couple $100,000 maybe, you know, get a down payment on a house, whatever. And now I'm like, holy crap, like this seems like there's no end to it. There's no end. I thought when we hit 640 it'd be the end. I was like, that was my year-end goal. I'm like, when it hits that, I'm just gonna cash it out, call it a day, wherever I'm done. And now it's like, no, this is crazy. This is we got so much time left in this. Do not think you're late to the party. Anyone who's thinking, oh, I missed it. No. We are like, there is so much runway left to catch a lot of gains over the next, for sure, until the end of next year. For sure. All right. So with all that said, I would like to switch over to Thinkorswim. We'll look at some of the technicals, and then we'll see what some other people on the internet are saying about what's going on with stocks. But let's go ahead and check out Thinkorswim quickly.
Thinkorswim.
All right. So this is the platform I use for trading. Some of the things you can see. I got a picture of this yesterday when it was at 777. I was like, oh, yes, it's going to be a jackpot on Friday. And I was like, oh, look, 777,000. Nice. This is the actual profit and loss to date. So about $250,000 to go, a little bit less to hit that $1 million. Now, what I would really love is to have $1 million of outperformance. So my actual goal is about right around $2 million. If I can hit that by the end of the year. And I don't see why not. I don't see why not. Like, I don't see why not. So right now, a lot of the money's parked in the money market because, like I said, I sold it on Friday. And I'm going to kind of reevaluate next week. I'm going to be taking some off and preparing for the next buy opportunity. But I think we'll be able to close over 800 in profit and get that right into the money market and just wait for the next thing to happen. So this was Friday. This kind of, wait.
That's the S&P on Friday?
Yep. And this is the one minute chart and the 15-minute chart. And this is a couple days on the right. But this 1 minute chart on the left. we can see like all day long just grinding up. And when we zoom out to the 15, grinding up. The last couple days, right? Up, down, but always stepping up. And what really, because when we talked the other day, the things that I look for the buying opportunity, like how did I know, like I bought this is what I should have sold here, and I didn't because I'm a greedy bitch. I bought this. I bought $100,000 right here and made like 150,000 overnight. It was like bloop, just made just an ass load of money. And I was, if you see my sell targets were like right here, and it was like cents away. It was like 30 cents away, and it didn't sell. And I was like, no, it's gonna come up. It'll like do this, and then it'll go and it'll sell everything, and I'll be a genius, and I'll make all this money. Nope. And I was like, and I had, and we'll see in a different chart. I don't know why we can't see it here, but I had a sell line right here. I was like, if it gets to here, just sell it. I don't care. I made a bunch of money. Sell it if it gets right here. And I did it. I did it.
You got greedy.
I got greedy.
That's what happens.
Because if I'd have sold right here,
like
I'd have
diamonds
bought right here again. I'd have bought right here, and I'd have bought right here, and I'd have made an ass load of money. Like the biggest ass you've ever seen. Like a donka truckload of money had I just...
like, you got such a big butt now. What's going on?
It was... I could have made... Literally, this is a $500,000 dip that I effed up and made only 120,000. But anyway, so the thing that triggered me to actually do any of this was I look at this 4-hour chart. So let's go ahead and switch this. I'm gonna actually let's maximize this. So let's get maximum real estate, and let's switch this to a 4-hour. And let's switch this to that. All right. So this is effectively there's a lot of astrology that happens, and it's pretty much, I feel like I'm reading tea leaves half the time when I'm doing this shit, but it is so effective that it's like at the end of the day there's a lot of computers that trade, right? So you have what is called an algorithm trading, and
right.
The algorithm is set to look for these types of things, like these lines. It will look like, okay, like what's happening here, this, and like, and it'll buy and sell based on all these parameters. And it's doing that like millions of times a day or whatever. So you got like lots of transactions that are coded to like look for different patterns and look for different things and then buy or sell based on it. So if you're not looking at those things, you're kind of an idiot. Because literally, there's more automated trading. I believe there's more automated trading than actual manual trading. So if you're not aware of what the automated trading is doing, how can you capitalize on that? So anyway, this is kind of from the previous all-time high all the way through the tariff dip and then the recovery, kind of what happened. And you know, you'll see things like, you know, it stayed in this channel, and then it broke, and it kind of did this, and then you have these kind of channels going up and different trend lines and this and that. But the important thing that I was looking for the last buy is on the 4-hour. So on a 4-hour time frame, the RSI being oversold during the day. Like that was my criteria to reopen a trade. And that's what I was waiting for since the beginning of July. So all the way back here. Now, I did make money along the way, but I didn't open any big position. And look, the price action came right back to where it was. So at the beginning of July, the price is the same as it was just the other day. So the fact that I only made like I made like, I don't know, $30,000, which isn't a little like bit, but it's a little bit, you know, relative to the account and I guess what I could have made. But the price came all the way back, and then I made the money because I waited for the indicator to go. And this is what I was telling you when I kept sending you those screenshots. Mm-hmm. Like I was hoping that the indicator was going to hit back here on the 15th, right? Because it was trending. I was hoping this would go hard, like a hard spike down right here, or even like from here come back down maybe around the 17th, right? Like in this range, come down. Now the other criteria is that it happens during the day, because sometimes this will happen overnight and it kind of invalidates it.
Right.
So it turned around here, and I was like, yep, nope, we're just still gonna wait. And as you can see, what happened, I mean, it did go up, but we were in this kind of sideways, and then when it finally hit the bottom, it went up. But then when this did happen, the price came all the way back to where it was over here. So even though here we were waiting to see, is it going to do this? Because if it had done this, we would have bought the crap out of it. Like, I would have told you put at least half of your account into this dip right here.
Okay.
And instead, it went this way, and we're like, all right, that's fine. That's fine. We have patience. We have patience here, people. I'm telling you, the biggest thing I learned after losing money last year was because I traded too much. I literally was not waiting for the most ideal trade. And then when the ideal trade came along, my position was too big already, and I couldn't take it. Or I didn't have enough money to like really size down on like the jackpot that I could see right in front of me. And I'm like, oh my God, like, why did I tie up all this money in these like low probability trades? It's so stupid. And it doesn't do anything. Like, and especially after I like tripled my account, I was like, oh my God, if I make one trade a year that triples my account every time, who the fuck cares about anything else? Like, I don't care. I don't need to be trading every day. My goal is to make money. It's not to be trading all day. Like, what are you talking about? That's just crazy. So that was a big wake-up call. And I'm like, you know what? And when this happened, I was like, sure, I could have made money. And I did, but I didn't lever down. I levered down here, right? I went bam, and I made a crap load of money. So that's what we're waiting for, this kind of thing. So during the day, if we kind of zoom in further, right here, this would have been the buy, and this is where I did buy. And unfortunately, you know, it was during the day on Friday, and I had no idea this was going to happen, so I wasn't exactly prepared to have you follow it. But right here, if we bought this, that was the very bottom. And really, buying pretty much at any point in this day. So even if you bought the open, which I bought the open, and I bought this, because this was my other buy line. So I had buys here and here. And look, it opened here and closed here. So my average is right here. Here to here. Like, that's almost the whole fucking move. That's like, and I closed right here. Like, literally opened it here, and I closed it right here. And I was pissed because I missed this. This was like another $25,000 if I had just waited a little bit. I'd have made.
Yeah, but you learned your lesson before about being greedy.
Exactly. That's why I closed it. I'm like, no, you bitch, right. You lost it. You don't give it back again, you idiot.
So we've learned that greedy is bad, and the opposite of greedy is what?
Humble. I don't know.
That's the opposite of pride.
Well, I mean, poverty or something would maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. What the
okay, we'll have to think on that.
We don't want that.
There's usually an opposite.
Like, yeah, we'll have to come back to that.
There's usually a virtue that opposes it.
But, you know, from here to here.
Patience is the other set.
Patience. That was a big one.
Yes.
That, absolutely.
Patience is a virtue, they say. So
it is.
We're on the right track with that. So. All right.
So this was my absolute buy, my sell line. I was like, if it comes down here, just fucking sell it. And it started all the way up here. And had I just sold it, like I said, just sell it. Just sell it. Don't worry. It's all profit. Just sell it.
Right.
I'd have missed
but
all of this.
You expected it to rebound and go back up?
I expected it to at least for a second, like, come up here and then come back down would have been fine. I thought I was like 100% it's gonna come up and then maybe come down, but or like a fake out, like down and then rip, but it just went. And I rode the whole thing. I went from being up like $80,000 to down to like 150 to like up 120, and I was like, oh man, this could have been a $500 Nike swoosh right here, baby. But oh well. Like I said, it's still profitable. I knew this was going to be a big play. This was byline. This is byline.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda,
Exactly.
coulda,
So
shoulda.
this is where I had you set up. Was this one because we missed the Friday?
Right.
I had you set up for here and here. So had it come down another day and maybe like a fake day to come to here, this would have been. That'd have been so.
But there'll be
money.
more. There'll be patient.
Yeah.
There'll be other
yeah.
opportunities.
And August, honestly, either next week or the week
Pay
after.
for my vacations.
This is no joke. In the next 2 weeks,
I know it's no joke.
we could. This is what I'm thinking is a likely scenario. We're gonna go like this, up. You see, I have all my buys stacked up. So what I'm trying to have happen is it go up, and as soon as it turns around, I'm gonna cancel. I'm gonna close everything. So if it starts, and this time I'm going to actually do it. But I'm gonna cancel as soon as it turns around, because what I think is gonna happen is it's gonna like aggressively raise up and then just shit the bed all the way down.
So you're looking
Well, at
for
least
like
here,
the area
but I
on the
think
green.
Yeah, these are my like liquidation targets. The first one is like short-term trades. I have like 1 and 2 month trades. I want all of them to be closed in this box. And then I have trades to go out to next year that I want to be in this box. But as soon as it comes in, if it exits, I'm just closing everything. And then that's the next buy opportunity, because I really think we're going to get a up and then a all the way down to here at a minimum, maybe down to here even, and then it's going to go to the fucking moon. And I think that's where the next $1 million is going to be.
That's going to be. Yeah. What's the green versus the yellow bar that you have there? What are those indicating?
I am colorblind, so you'll have to be a little.
Oh,
more.
so you have the one bar on top of the other at the top, like go up a little.
Oh, these two
on the screen. Yeah, and one's larger is yellow. The smaller one is green.
Yeah, these are my liquidations. So this is anything that's a 2-month contract or less. If the price gets into this box,
okay,
that's where I want to sell it, and I want all of them to be sold by this price. And then my longer contracts, I want those to sell in this box. I don't think.
Okay, that's gotcha.
I think we're gonna reject by 650 or somewhere around there. So I want all of these contracts closed by then.
Okay.
And then I think we're gonna get a massive, because at 650, I mean, it might go like all the way up to 660 and then slam down, because at some point we're going to get like a 5 or 10% correction. Now,
I mean, really, what? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, just real quick. We might not get a 10% because of how bad it was earlier, but we're going to get a 5% correction at some point, and that's $30. So I'm going to wait till it goes down at least 20 before I open a significant position again.
Okay, I guess that answered my question.
Yeah, and this is like, I think everyone is looking, because the year-end target for a lot of people was 640, and we're already there, and it's only August. So I think effectively a lot of people are going to take profit. It's going to slam the market down, and normally that happens in August anyways. We get a slam, and this, I don't know if this counts as a slam, to be honest. Like, this was a 1, 2, 3 day pull, 4, 5, 6 a week.
Yeah, that seems more in reaction to something more temporary, because it recovered awful fast.
Yeah. So it was in this range. It came back to the bottom of the range, back to the top of the range, broke it. This is like an intermediate range. It shuffled through that. Here's the new range. We're back in the new range. We're at the top of it. We're going to go create a new range, probably, in this general area. And that's where I think we're going to get another rejection really hard. And then that's what I'm going to buy everything. And that,
the heck out
I
of
think
it.
that's honestly, that's the difference about how I trade than other people is most people are like, oh, you don't want to have more than like 2% of your account in any position or something, like something retarded. And I'm like, my goal, my literal goal is to have my entire account into a position. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I want, if I could put 100% of my account into, that's a good thing. To me, that is what I want. And they're talking like, oh, you want to have like 1%. And then I'll see people, they're like, oh, you know, I hit options that had like 2,000% return. So at like 20 times its value. I'm like, okay, did you put your whole account into it?
Right.
Because why not? Did you think it was going to 20 times? Because if you did, why didn't you put your whole account on it? I don't understand.
Well, confidence matters. You're clearly
exactly. But then
with what you're doing now that it's worked out for you. But I mean, some people, like last year, you were also pretty confident. But as you said, you lost a lot of money because you were impatient and greedy. Or one of those two, at least. I think it was impatient.
Impatience is what.
And I can totally get it. Like, I was warned about like trading from some people that are like, it can get kind of addictive, and people like tend to like shoot too high, too fast, and they just lose it all, and then they'd have nothing to work with, and they're done. So I'm like, okay, let's not do that.
Yeah,
let's be patient and look for those good opportunities.
Dude, Warren Buffett, that's what I keep coming back to. He did not buy this dip. He didn't buy the dip because he didn't think it was good enough.
Oh my goodness. Well, he's also he doesn't have to really, like you say, he doesn't have to trade every day. He's like looking for the one that's gonna triple his portfolio.
It's like, and how do you think he's the bajillions of dollars.
Smart guy.
And it's like, he's just looking for the good opportunities. He's not like, oh, how can I like get 1% edge on like 1 million trades and make $1 billion? No, he's like, how can I make 3 trades and make $1 billion? That's way smarter in my opinion, honestly. And that has worked out extremely well for me right now. It's like, what's the narrative? Like, first off, the market is going up like pretty much guaranteed, at least for the next 18 months. So based on just that basic ass thesis of like the market's going up, how are you not making money? And then people look at all this stuff. Like, I trade the S&P 500 because last year I was trading NVIDIA and I caught it. Well, it was still pretty small, but like I said, I had problems with money and not being in accounts and X, Y, and Z. But NVIDIA ended up getting politicized. And I didn't see that coming. Like, I was like, oh, like from a fundamentals and everything, like it went to the moon, and then all the political stuff came in and kind of screwed it over. And I was like, crap. And then same thing happened to me with Microsoft. Microsoft was ready to skyrocket, and then CrowdStrike happened, and then all the planes were grounded, and then Microsoft stock tanked. But it wasn't even Microsoft's fault. So when you're buying individual stocks, and then
the dangers.
Adobe, right? Well, we'll talk about Adobe too. Adobe, there's no reason really for their stock to be down, but then Figma came out. And Figma, even though they're not really that much of a competitor, they had an IPO and it was all the hype, and then everyone was like, oh, sell Adobe because, and now it's like, well, now Figma's tanking, and it's like, yeah, Adobe is more than just, so we'll see how it recovers and everything, but that's why I don't like picking stocks.
I invested in some Adobe and I still have it, so I'm waiting for it to come back up.
And then Amazon. So last year Amazon was ready to take off, and then Jeff Bezos decided, oh, I need to fund a project, so I'm going to sell 100 million shares at $200 so the price will never go above that. Oh, well, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't see that coming. So every time I except for NVIDIA before it got politicized, there's high risk of going with any individual stock that some stupid thing will come out of nowhere and just completely shit all over it. And then it's like, oh man, the S&P 500 in its nature is the smoothing out of all that crap. So yeah, you're less likely to get a 50 times moonshot like Apple the other day just took off, and anyone who was long Apple made a boatload of money because no one saw that coming, because in my opinion Apple's a dead company if they don't do something pretty significant. I'm not interested in Apple at all.
Yeah,
in any
Apple's kind of
capacity.
risky like that. If they
there's-
come out with some good product, people buy it up. If they don't, then
Well,
they
and
don't.
even Apple
It's just
itself was
that.
like, people aren't going to need an iPhone in like 5 years because the technology landscape is going to be different. And it's like, yeah, exactly. So now, if you're not part of that new landscape of like AI and maybe like wearable technology and everything, you're not relevant.
Yeah.
So you're going to go down. And so anyway, what I'm expecting, if we kind of zoom this out, how far out can I go?
Why bother carrying a cell phone around when you're all you need is literally in your coat
So this is a little bit of what I'm saying.
on your
We have
watch?
this top, exactly.
Glasses.
Exactly. It's just built into the other thing that you're using. That's more of a Omni tool or whatever.
Right. Like the reason I have a problem with the glasses is because they're not prescription. Like, how much would it cost me? Like, I'd have to deliver my really expensive, a Google Lens or whatever they're called, a HoloLens, and like take it to get a prescription put in there. But like, how does that work? Like, I don't understand. So if you actually need glasses, you really can't wear those. And then they're really only made for people who don't need glasses. So it's sort of weird like that.
Well,
I think your best people to market these to would be people who need glasses because they're used to wearing them already. So it'd be like an extra thing, which would be great. But as far as I know, you can't get your prescription added to these things, at least not without
I don't
probably
think so.
a super amount of expense to do so.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like, huh.
Yeah.
Seems
but
cool.
I don't know.
But
Potentially at some, I mean, with the HoloLens or something, they could even make it like adapt the light maybe to your prescription.
Well, that would be
built
sweet.
it into the software somehow. Did it like knows?
just type it in there. Here's my prescription.
Ziggy,
Just auto
what
corrects
up?
itself. That'd be fantastic. That'd be great technology.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the kind of things that we're looking at. And I think that's
Yeah,
going
if
to
someone
happen.
came up with that, I'd buy and I'd invest in that company. At least a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's one of Musk's company, the Neuralink. It's a little more invasive maybe than that. But
Yeah,
like,
that's getting into invasive territory. That's different. I won't invest in invasive stuff.
But
Unless
I
it's
mean, that's
prosthetic,
like one
helping
end of
people.
the spectrum. Well, I mean, it is helping. I mean, these people are paralyzed, and it's like giving.
Oh
them
yeah,
the
for that.
ability to-
Yeah, that you meant. I thought you meant that just the chip people get, experimental chips people are trying out just to like haptically control their electronics.
Well, no one is doing that. All of the people that have that is because they're paralyzed or have some other issue. It's just they happen to also be able to do that because of it.
Okay.
But that is a cool thing. And like for me, one of the things is like, could I get like colorblind sensor, like a sensor that let me see things in actual full color? Since I with my eyes can't, but if I had like glasses that had a special
They
thing
make
that
those.
knew how to.
They do exist.
Well, those are a little different. But if it could like send the signal into my brain exactly how it would have if I had proper eyes, you know what I'm saying? It's
right.
It's just cool stuff
Corrective
like
type
that.
thing.
And then I would get telescope vision because then I'd be like zooming in down the street, like who's up the street, you know what I'm saying? I'd be looking around doing all kind of shit. I know, I would absolutely do it. I get like a microscope eyeball, like put it down over there, like okay, what's this look like? I think it might be
roll this down there, see
disorienting
what
or
we find
something.
under the couch.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, exactly. Have a remote sensor eyeball thing. I can just look around. Holy crap. I hadn't even thought about that. Get its own little RC car. That'd be awesome. But anyway, I know we kind of got off topic, but this is what I'm kind of hoping for, is that we get something like this where it kind of hits right around 650, it dumps and then rips. Rip. Poke, dump, rip. Poke, dump, rip, poke, right? It's always the same.
Right,
it's got to like
in a
poke,
general rise
dump, rip.
overall.
Because this is like, yeah, it's a big red candle, but like we had 1, 2, 3, dump, rip, right? Like this could have been 1, 2, 3, right? And that's what I was preparing for. Was like I had buy orders stacked up all the way down here because this could have been 1, 2, 3, and if it had done that, like this would have been like probably a $2 million play or something. You know what I'm saying? Like we'd be going to the damn moon afternoon. Ziggy, cheers.
Ziggy, cheers. It's Happy Financial Day.
Happy Financial Day. Yep, you can see all the cells just stacked up waiting. Just waiting. Boop, 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 boop. So that, like I said, that indicator on the 4 hour is what we're looking for. Now, this is why on Friday that I had so much confidence of what was going to happen. So when we look at the weekly chart, and let me pull up my other things. And it's actually a little bit sneaky what they did. I kind of don't like what they did here. Whoops. I switched the wrong thing. I meant to switch this. All right, let's zoom in here. So on a weekly,
pardon me,
we can see what's happening. We entered the range. We this is called a doji when the price is really high and low and then it stays in the middle. It's like we tested these prices, we didn't like it. We tested these prices, we didn't like it. We go to the next week. We test those prices again, we don't like it. We test those prices again, and this time we stay up here. Okay. When we see that, that usually means the price is going to keep going up. Especially when you see this kind of pattern, right? Like, we came down, we retested all of this. If the price was going to go down, it would have went down here. Because they would have just kept pushing it down. It's a lot easier for the price to go down than to up. So if you get it all the way back to here, and if you notice the bottom of this wick is higher than this one. So when it turned around, it was higher still than this one. So it didn't even try to come lower. Because that could be a different indicator. So from here to here, it didn't even get as low before turning around. It cleared the whole range.
It's hard to see.
Exactly. But that's the thing about this. They do this to like sense. Like you have, because again, it's the computer.
And the AI algorithms can pick that up super easy as a human. Probably
exactly. And I feel like they communicate to each other through this shit. I swear to God. Like somehow when there's signals built into all of this. And that's pretty much why all of these tea leaves and everything come together. And I don't know, at least if it isn't working and it's just random, so be it, but it's working out so far. But this is what all the channels talk about, are all these numbers, and like everyone is looking at these things, and when they see it, it's like now you have a whole bunch of people that have the same thought process of, okay, price is going up, let's buy it, and it kind of reinforces, right? So even if it technically is just nonsense, when everyone believes it, it becomes not nonsense anymore. Like it manifests itself into reality.
That's why perception matters so much. For the general scope.
Most of my trading is based on when I look at other traders, what are they saying? How are they feeling? And I use that to gauge, is the market going to go up or down? Like, are people feeling good or not? Like, and then the ramifications and what's the news and this and that. And it's like, it takes a lot of time, but it's not hard necessarily. But anyway, when you see this, we had this giant candle that's like, okay, we're not even ever going to talk about these prices again. Fuck off. It just kept going. Like this wick never even closed here. It was like, nope, we're good. Fuck you. Bye. And then it's like, all right, now we have something to talk about. Right? When you see this, this is where things can turn around. When you see this guy, it's like, okay, it could either go this way or it could go this way. When this guy shows up and the wick on the bottom stays higher, that's when everyone is like, okay, let's buy this. And it rockets it back up. And then all the people that were like, okay, I don't know, and they see it come back up here and they see it come above here, now all those people buy and it rockets up. And then the institution comes along and says, all right, fuck you, we're going to drive it down. And they can only get it down this far. What that means is over here, everyone's going to buy the shit out of it. Because they see this price is higher than this one. The next most likely thing is for it to go up, because if it was going to go down, it would have went down here. This is just, I'm telling you what people are thinking when they see these things. And whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. When all the people think the same fucking thing, this is how you get the advantage, because now you know when it's going to rock it. Right.
That makes sense.
You have a very high confidence that the herd mentality is going to kick in and this is going to go. And there's also like news catalysts and everything. So you're also looking like, is there something in the news that is going to reinforce the positive response that's coming? Because if we get here and then it's something in the news happens that's bad, you can pretty much guarantee it's going this way. So it's the same the other way, because now it's this negative reinforcement, because now people are scared. It's close. Now we have bad news, and everyone just says sell. I don't care. Bleep.
Like, it's a panic, right? Oh, no.
Exactly.
Right.
So once this plays out, and then this stays above the half point of this bar, so you can see, like, I have all these lines and everything. This didn't even get to the bottom.
Yeah, I can see there's a lot of lines.
Because this line stayed so high, this bar is pretty much guaranteed to rocket. So when it only came here and turned around, this is pretty much guaranteed. Okay. Now, this is the one that became the problem child. And actually was the opportunity, because when we look at, not on this time scale, but on the, we'll look at a different time scale, but what happened was this gapped up overnight and then sold, which is normally a really, really strong negative indicator. And it played out. And this honestly, like I said, we were preparing for it to come here, here, and here. Because a second bar of this same size was also a likely outcome. Like, gotcha. Having a second bar come all the way down here and like have a really long wick, like this is kind of short. It could have been like a super long wick, but the bar was like this solid, and then like
I have to ask
long wick.
Basic question that I'm missing. The candle versus the wick. What's the difference? Like, what makes some candles longer and some wicks longer and shorter, etc.
Yep. So how a candle is formed is on a green candle, the bottom that is the opening price. So on this day, on this week, the price was $617.36.
Oh, okay. Now I understand. So the top of the candle is the closing price, and then the wicks are how high and low it got at certain parts of the day.
During that week.
Or during that time frame, I should say.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And so when you see like a really long wick on the bottom, that means there was like typically a sharp sell off that got bought back up quickly, which usually means it's going to launch. So when you have like this guy, right? The wick is like almost half the size, and then even though the next thing was a doji, it popped, right? And it never came back.
Right.
And then like this on the overnight.
You call that a doji? Is that what you said it was called?
Yeah, that's called a doji when it's like a long wick on the top and the bottom, and then the small body in the middle.
Okay. Small candle, long wicks. All right.
Yeah. Now, in this case, on the way down, actually, a lot of these have really long wicks because I think people were assuming that buying the dip was going to still work here. So they just kept buying the dip. So you had all these really long wicks because it would go down really hard and then people would buy it, but it didn't turn around because there was a more fundamental problem. So they were, the tariffs were pushing it down. It was going to go down.
Oh, yeah, and there's one there too.
Yeah, and then the top.
There's a doji between the two. Yeah.
Yeah, and often that's where it happens because it's like, okay, I might turn around here or I might not, and that's what that usually signals is like, okay, I might turn around, and it gives it a chance to like digest a little bit. So it's like, okay, I need to slow down and think about where I'm at right now. And then it decided, okay, I still need to go.
Yeah, we're going to keep on going. Okay.
But
interesting.
It actually was going to turn around.
But most of them do indicate there's going to be a rise soon.
And this was going to rise because when Trump first announced the tariffs, it did turn around. And then he announced a different, like he announced 10%, and then he showed, and it was actually like 90%. So during that day, it went, yoop, yoop, like all in
Gotcha.
like a half hour. At the end of the day, it was like, bloop, bloop. Like, fuck.
So you can see a bunch of people with their finger hovering up.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's, yeah, the
It was like,
institutions just like sell billions of
Right.
dollars of shares. Let's go. So I don't know. That was kind of crazy, but that's, you know, when we look at this time frame, you can kind of see this is the 1 week, and this is why on Friday I was so confident about pushing it. Is in order for this to really be fully bullish, meaning the stock's going to go up.
Mhm.
We want this line to be above this one. Now, why I said this is sneaky is because in this view, it's not, right? In this view, technically, this is smaller. And this would show actual weakness because we couldn't push the price past. Like just that little bit, right? So this is like, uh-oh. We
That
couldn't
tiny
make
little
that
bit.
little bit. But if we look on a different time frame,
A longer time frame?
actually one that includes some of the overnight. So the market closes at 4 o'clock, but the S&P 500 trades till 4:15. And actually, let me get an even smaller time frame. So you can see what happened on Friday.
Smaller time frame.
Is actually it closed here technically, but as soon as the market closed, like in the next 5 minutes after the market was closed, it pushed the price all the way actually past that point. This is the sneaky shit. I'm telling you. And this is all manipulation. I'm telling you. This is all bullshit. Even this, at the end of the day, they tried to dump and get people to sell it. And they almost got me to do it. They almost got me. I'm like, oh my God, do not even tell me I'm fucked up again. And then right at the end of the day, and this is where I sold right here in the middle.
Uh-huh.
And had I waited to the top, that was like $25,000. That's what I was saying. But
you were like literally minutes away from close.
it was actually after. So 4 o'clock, the
It was
market
after
closes.
close.
And 4:15,
until
you can still trade. And I closed at like 4:07. But had I waited till like 4:14, you know what I'm saying? And so the actual close, like the tradable close, is at 6:38. The actual market close is 6:37, and that is actually significant, like so hugely significant, because if the weekly had actually closed at this point, it would have showed full strength to the upside across every time frame. It had been like everything is saying we're going up next week. But because they did this and waited till after the market closed and then did this, now that time frame shows weakness and this time frame is showing strength. And this is called a gap up. So the highest price during the day here was 637.65. And if the market starts up here, it does not like that. It wants to come back down so that it's continuous pricing. It'll like come down and then go up. So even if it starts here, the most likely thing that's going to happen is it's just going to come right back down. And then if that happens, what's the most likely next thing that happens is people panic. And now it's like this, because the pricing is so strong, it could actually cause it to crash. Which sounds crazy.
People are getting nervous.
Because, yeah, they're like, do I trust it or not? And when they see it start up here and then go immediately down, they'll be like, oh, shit, just get rid of it. Just like I was the other day. I'm like, if it gets to this, and this is the same line that I didn't listen to last time, but if it comes to this line and goes below, I was supposed to just sell. And that,
Right.
if everyone does the same thing, then guess what happens? It really sells, right? So that's what I'm worried about, is that when this opens on Monday, is this going to go like this and trigger a sell-off? Now, what I'm hoping actually happens is that it opens like up here, goes up, and then crashes, so I get to sell all of my shit at a huge profit. And then buy it again when it comes down to here.
What I thought do you already have positions set up, or are you?
Yeah, all of these red, this is all positions. So I have 252 contracts open right now.
Okay. It's honestly, everything is small as far as the text is concerned. It's like really hard to see it.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
So yeah,
it's the graph parts that matter.
That is kind of the game plan going into next week, is that this is like
all right,
likely to, what I'm hoping and what I think is a very likely scenario is this aggressively gaps up, shoots up first thing, maybe the first hour, and then just like tanks like straight fucking down. Like I'm talking like carnage, like women and children to safety, kind of like, holy crap, like just the most disgusting, just ugh. And then we'll look at our indicator, right? We'll look at our 4-hour indicator over here. What's he doing right now? So over here, we went and we touched the top. We're going to go into afterburner. This is what I call afterburner, but this is like oversold, or I mean overbought. This is a lot of people are buying, like a lot more buying than selling is happening. So what's likely to happen is we're going to go into the afterburner, and it might even be a huge spike like this, like way up, like up, and then it's going to go bam and just straight into the dirt, like this one. It's at the top,
down to the mud,
it's right to the bottom.
Oh, like that big,
even further into the bottom, like we're one of these. And then
when was that one? When is that? When was that?
This was last Thursday. This is the one that I was telling you. This is going to be a good buy. And I had show you the screenshots of like this, and this, and man, it was perfect. But anyway, I think we're going to get this afterburner right into the ground. It's going to go hard into the ground. It's going to recover and then go hard into the ground again. Like we're going to get 2 of these. All the way back down. But see, here's the thing. If we get back down to this 615, 613 area, which was the previous all-time high, we might even go back down to 600 because there's some funky chart stuff happening. But if we get to either of these, it's like load everything you have into it. Like literally, I will have $1 million deployed easily by the time we get down here. Like this is the play that you need to, if anybody is listening, again, don't take any of my advice. It's not financial advice. What I'm saying is what I am going to do, and what I think anyone who has the desire to make a lot of money should do, is if it touches anything around this area, you find any money you can and you put it on the S&P 500 and you will be rich. I'm telling you. So that's what I'm hoping, because a lot of times when the chart falls apart, it's normally like this. It'll go up, fail. It'll go up again, like nasty, like it looks like it's going to the moon, and it's like fake. So what the institutions are doing are they're like, yeah, everybody, it's great. Just come up here with us. And then they sell you like everything they own. So you bought it at the very tippity top as they just drag it right into the ground. And then they buy it again down here. So you want to be on the right side, I'm telling you. That's where it's at. Look at this 4-hour chart. This is money. This is money. When this happens and it holds during the day, If this happens overnight, it's not valid. If this happens during the day, buy it. Buy it with everything you have.
What happens if that
happy.
huge dip happens at night? Or is that unlikely?
Usually what ends up happening is because the volume is so light and it normally gets bought right back up. So you'll get like this, and then by the time the morning happens, it'll be above this line again.
Gotcha.
And this won't count. Like it won't be.
So it kind of cancels it out, essentially.
Yeah. This is really valid the most during the day, because what it means is, usually what it means is everybody sold like as much as they're going to, more or less. It's like more people sold than probably should have, and it's unlikely we're going to get, at least in the short term, continued selling. I mean, this could, like I said, what I'm hoping is it shits the bed, but it had a recovery. Like what this is saying, in the short term is likely we're not going down anymore. It doesn't mean we're necessarily going up, but in the short term we are. And if you want to just play this much, that's a lot of money. This was, I think, a 40%. This was 40. My contracts that I bought here were 40% improved. So, you know, even if you put a quarter of your account, a quarter by 40%, you're talking about over a 10% improvement on a overnight, on a 1 day. And that's normally 2 years. So that's what I'm saying. The level of multiplication here and just being patient, like be patient, be patient, be patient. We waited. We saw this, and we executed a lot of money on it. And unfortunately, my idiot ass didn't sell when I had all those contracts right here, so I had to hold them all the way through this. So I didn't capitalize nearly as much on this as I could have had I just sold right here. Or at least lowered my position. That was the other thing I fucked up. I had such a huge position, I should have at least lowered some of it, like sold part of it in case. And definitely when it got to here. Like, I didn't have to liquidate it, but I should have downsized it. Like, that was the... And I waited all this time, and I still fucked it up. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm hard on myself, because if I can make small adjustments, these are like hundreds of thousands of dollars a week, potentially. And even if I only have a couple weeks a year that are like that, okay, I'm okay with that. Like, okay, 1 in 5 weeks, that's okay. I'm good with that. So I don't know, man. This is where I'm at. Let's see what's. Do you have any other questions on this? I think this kind of was really what I wanted to show.
That was a lot of info, but like I said, it's every time we talk about it, I seem to more pieces kind of fit together inside my brain, so it's a good thing.
Now, here's some of the other things actually that are reinforcing my positioning. I don't know if you can see this line. I just highlighted it. It's kind of a little bit different color now.
All right. Yeah, I see it.
That one I thought was going to be the new trend line. It's a little bit hard with all these lines, but
right.
I thought the new
dotted
path
one. I see it still. Yeah.
Was going to be this one. So it kind of sliced through. It touched here, and like I told you before, normally when things reject major trends, they really reject. So it touched the trend, rejected pretty freaking hard.
Said nope, don't like that, and it literally touched it though.
Exactly. I mean, touch.
Right there.
Came here, touched it again, like after all of this. We're talking like, you know, over a month. Come back, touch it. Slightly out, slightly down, slightly out. Small rejection to this equal high. And undercut. So, like, there's so many clues here of what's happening. Once we see this, it, like, touched and then ripped. This is almost guaranteed to go. Like, when we see this undercut, this is one of the strongest indicators that the price is about to fucking just take the hell off. And so we see that. It's right around our trend line, and that's what the trend line wants. It wants something strong to break, you know, to break it to the other side of the trend. So here's where we're battling. Let me try and get it selected again. There we are. So we battled, undercut. This is where we picked up all the momentum. Look at this bar. Because it can't just touch it.
Huge bar.
The only way to get through one of these is you have to do this. And that's what you're expecting from this. So when I see this, I'm expecting one of these at this line. So I know where to sell. I know to buy here because it's the undercut. And I know to sell here because it's a trend reversal. And that's exactly what I did. And this is actually, man, had this held into the morning, this would have been like an $800,000 play. It ended up being a couple hundred, but this would have been almost $1 million had it just held. Anyway, but when I saw that it was at that line, though, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna sell because I know this is exactly what I needed from that. From this candle to this line is what I needed, and that's what I got. I sold. Now, because of the rejection, I said, okay, I got to try again. We're going to ride the line. Okay, we're riding the line. And then we get the power candle. And it's always like this. Like, I'm telling you, these don't happen any other way. Power candle all the way through the day, right up to the line, overnight, powered through it, overnight, powered through it, started way the hell above it, powered over it, and never looked back. That is always how this changes. Every single time. Every time. You can bank on it. Every stupid time. And when you see this thing, bloop, you know we're going to the freaking moon. It's like, holy moly. So you see all these clues along the way, and here's my trend line. It got broke. I thought it was coming back. So when this happened, this is a gap up. Chart does not like gap ups. I sold everything right here because I thought it was coming back. And because my trend line was down here, I was like, okay, it's going to come back to the trend line. Nope. Just sailed away. And then what happened? It went to my next trend line. It said, I don't like this one anymore. I did not think it was coming to this one. Because this is the line it was supposed to come to based on like really old pricing. Like had this dip not happened so aggressively, this was my initial price target. Was this one?
Okay.
And I was like, because of all this damage, we're not going to get there this year. But we did. We gave up on my like compromise. So I was like, this is probably where we're going to get to. And it danced around and it stuck that line for so long. And I put this in like way before any of this pricing happened. This was my trend line, and it hit, dance, broke to my other trend, and now, look, it's been dancing on that fucking line the whole time, right into this 640 end of year price target. Like it danced right into it, and then what happened? Right when it got into that, let me zoom in because it's kind of small now, but right when it got into this little wedge. Rejected, and now it's coming back. So if it sticks the line right into my long-term sell by the end of the month, like everything should be sold by the end of the month. And usually what happens is we get an overshoot, like we have these kind of overshoots. When we break this line for real, which I think could happen here, it's going to be an overshoot. And either it's going to come back and stay, or it's going to come back and say, no, I don't like any of this. And what I'm hoping is it just falls off a cliff. So that's my current strategy. What I'm expecting is this really big kind of push away from it, and then it slams back. And then towards the end of the year, it recovers back to the line. But that's kind of where my head's at right now. Maybe we'll finish the year around. I think this is too aggressive. I don't think we'll get like to 700, but like technically the year end technically like could be in this like 700 ballpark, but I think, yeah, 670 is much more likely, if not maybe 660. And that would be back to my initial trend line, but this kind of 650 to 660 wedge is where I had my initial target. But it's trending all the way to here. Dude, if we hit this by the end of the year, this is going to be Team Venture Enterprises, man. This isn't going to be... I'm telling you, we're going to be like Batman rich.
Full-time editor for our videos. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, that's going to be like chump change. We're going to be like Dr. Disrespect level, dude. I'm telling you, the money in this from here to there, this like easily a couple $1 million from here to there. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Oh yeah, and let's take a look. So 1.256. This is not everything. This is close to everything, but it's not everything. So believe me when I say I have at least enough to push this up to the 1.3. If we switch back to Chrome, and we look at
watch my eyes.
Oh, we looked this up the other day. Hold on. How much money does the top 5% have with an N?
In the world or in the country? In the US.
In the US.
Yeah, should be in the US.
What? Interesting. This was a different number before. Wait. Top 5 is 1.17. This is the number that I was recalling. But this one is slightly different. Interesting. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. We're right in the bottom end of the top 5% in these retirement accounts here. And that's crazy that 5% difference is only this like what? 50 G's? The next 5% is only 50 G's less?
That seems, well, those are conflicting. It says the details, the top 5% threshold is 1.17, but above it says 3.95. It's almost 4.
This one, yeah, that's the one I don't understand, but this is the number that I had seen before and I was going off of.
Yeah, I remember. What does it say? In the top 2% is 2.7.
Yep. So now I'm on like a countdown. I've got like, okay, how do I get to 4? How do I get to 3, 2, 1?
What's the top 1%?
You know? I think it's 13.7 if I recall correctly. And then other people apparently estimated as low as about 6. But this is the number I remember seeing is 13.7.
13.7.
That one's going to be a little bit tricky to get to, I think, honestly. But, you know, I was surprised to see top 5%. And then if between the 10 and 5 is only 50 G's, like, I don't know. It seems like it gets skewed. We got kind of a logarithmic growth here, which is not cool.
Well, there's a pretty big gap between the 1% and the rest of everybody.
Well, even from the 1% to the 0.5% is a huge gap, and then from the 0.5 to the 0.4 is a huge. Like, it gets huger and huger as you go up. That's great. That's what's crazy to me is the gap gets bigger as you go up. Like, what?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's
holy crap. And then you get people like Elon Musk worth fucking like $300 billion, and then
Bezos and.
All right. So anyway, that is kind of the plan going forward. Too bad we couldn't get you into that dip, but that dip was perfect. All the signals were firing. We had everything converging. All the indicators saying we're going up, and my counter trading influencer was saying to sell everything, so I was like, oh, I know it's time to buy everything if he's saying time to sell everything. All right, let's see what Corey has to say recently here. We got a bull trap coming, which I think it could be, but not where he's showing. So this is literally the same thing that we were looking for. So when we had set up like to buy right here in his thing and right here. So we were buying here and here. It could have very easily gone this way also. Now, it did end up going this way, but what we're hoping now is that this just moves over and it's a much bigger pullback, because this ended up only being around 3%. So for a 5% to come next could be fine. A $30 pullback off of 640 is, 610. And there's a lot of support at 608. So if we 615, 608, 600 are all good buys. 590, of course. Anything obviously lower than that, but 590 is like the ultimate low that I'm like, if it got below that, I would be concerned that something bad is happening.
Turn on the news. What the heck has happened?
Yeah, like we'd probably be in a war or something.
Is that why you say, oh, it's his danger zone? I got you.
Yeah. Really, this gap is the thing, and that I'm telling you, the market leaves things behind that they can use on you later, because it's like, oh, there's a gap here, so if we do come down to here, well, maybe we're just going to fill the gap. So let's just wait and see. Let's just see if it's just a gap fill. Let's just hold a little bit longer, and then it's like, oh, well, okay, it kept going. Well, this is kind of like a weak balance range. Let's just hold a little bit longer and see if like the top of this range will like support us, right? So like you get to here and you're like, oh, well, it's just like a little, it's just like this little bit. And then it's like, oh shit. And then it's like, well, it's just like, it's just got to go just that little bit. And then it's like, oh shit. And then it's like, well, it's just, and then, oh. And by the time you know it, you're way down here and you're like, well, now we're at a double bottom. Now I should put the whole of the last 5 cents that I have left. I should just put it right here because, this is right. I'm telling you, they're so good at manipulating it. So they have these little tricks that they could leave behind. I'm telling you. So really the big thing that was like scary here is like every day it kept just slamming the price down lower and lower, even though it would start higher. So we have kind of like what they call a megaphone happening here. Mm-hmm. The price every day in the morning would be higher, and it would throughout the day just keep pushing lower. And that's like a really bad indicator of like, for whatever reason, a lot of people don't think we're getting past this level, and they're just slamming it down every day, despite the like clearly upward trajectory and higher starting price. Like when this
wants to go higher is what you're saying.
Gapped up, and then it's like it looks like it's like, okay, why are we not going higher right now? It's like slam, 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 and then it finally broke all the way down here. And it's like, really? Like we spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 days in this range or whatever before we broke it, and now we just slammed right back to the bottom of it. So we like negated like 3 weeks of progress, like right here. And for what reason, right? Like what was the catalyst? Because as far as I could see, there wasn't really anything that would call for that. Of course, like the new tariffs being actually put on again, but I was like, really? I honestly thought they were gonna just fake us, like, oh, tariffs again, we're gonna slam it, and then instead they were gonna like go up. That's why I did not sell. I was like, oh, they're gonna fake us out and it's gonna go this way, and I was like, nope. Okay, oops. Mm-hmm. And that scenario would have been extremely profitable if we had actually pulled down there. Oh my God. And that we're technically still on watch for that because, like I said, often what happens is we get this double top thing that happens, but the second top looks like a breakout and they just fake it. They'll let it rip so high and then slam, and it will happen so aggressive. It'll be like, wow, we're going to the moon. Slam. Like,
Okay.
oh, we forgot to
Interesting.
fuel the rocket ship. And it'll just bam. And then after that happens, it'll go. It might base, but then it'll go. Yeah, even if you look at this one over here, right? We're going, like gapped up. We're going up, 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 up. And then overnight, the price like just fell and then recovered. So they're like, okay, fine. Like maybe that's just like retesting some of these prices, whatever. Finish up here. Then we get this evil doji, which could signal
I
a
see
reversal.
it. Yeah.
And then it gapped down and then rallied all the way back up to the doji. So they're making you think, you know, it's going to rally out and just be another one of these, right? Another side by side of that.
Yeah.
Nope. Gets you to here and then wham! And then the next day, they're like, okay, go ahead and try. They're like, go ahead and try. Wham! And then they're like, go ahead and try. Go ahead and try. Slam! Okay. I'm telling you, this plays out all the time. Even here, we have the, like, they let it rally. Slam! And then rip. Now, this slam wasn't super hard.
Confusing because they're so tight.
Yeah, but this was after so much damage, like they couldn't slam it down again. Like it was. This part of the chart that is like cut off is like there's just so much damage. They just cannot push the price down again. That's why it goes.
Okay.
Oh, jeez, I did this last time too. All right, browser audio.
534. So this is what I'm looking for. I'm calling it a bull trap because if you're getting bullish during the bounce and you think the pullback is over, that is the part where the bulls will be trapped as the market reverses and sharply starts going down lower to finish out this pullback. Looking at Bitcoin, we were looking for these lower highs to result in a break below support at 117,000, and that was going to bring us down to 112,000, and we did hit 112,000, and now that we're bouncing, there's going.
So using Bitcoin is also a pretty good indicator of what's happening. So if Bitcoin's going up or it's at the top, that's what they call risk on, meaning it's worth putting your money into more risky investments like the stock market as compared to like gold or bonds.
Those are which are much more stable.
And you can see this kind of
lower returns.
Lower returns, exactly. And we have this kind of trend line, if you can imagine, touches here, touches here. So when we got on August 6th, right, we hit this trend line. Either it's going to break, and it's going to break hard, right? Because when trends, especially strong trends, normally when they break hard.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's going to continue, right? So on this day, 113,005, you're pretty good to assume we're turning around. And when we see the reversal, we're like, okay, this is risk on. Now we also know stocks are probably good as well. All right, let me see that.
Okay.
So anyway, and then you can kind of map the same things on Bitcoin. Like, is Bitcoin looking like it's going to flip into a risk off or whatever? And it's usually pretty, it does align pretty well.
That was a question I would have asked. But you already answered it.
All right, now this is one of my favorite traders. Like I said, a lot of things he says make sense, but a lot of times I do whatever the opposite is of whatever he's saying, just because I don't know why it works for me. But the only thing that he said recently that I was like, shit, was NVIDIA. When it hit like 150, he was like, oh, I bought a whole bunch more. And I was like, oh, crap, I just sold all of my NVIDIA. And I was like, oh, no, I made a mistake. And it turned out I made a mistake. So that was the one time recently that I was like, oh, no, I should have double-checked before doing that. Oh, well. I mean, it's like lost opportunity, right? It's not like I lost money. It's like I didn't get as much money as I would have by not selling.
Video is absolutely packed. There's a lot of theory in today's video, and there's a lot of application on understanding how you should be choosing what you're looking at and what is absolute garbage. So I want to jump right into it because there's parts of this video that you're going to want to watch again, and that would mean that I'm going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter. So let's get to this. First and foremost, if we just look at the SPX, we could all see the bearish engulfing right here, and then we can all see how we just kind of had the inside bar. We're not over it yet, but the SPX in and of itself did not confirm to the downside on the move.
See, this weekly, again, everyone looks at this, and this is the indicators, and they're like, oh, look, it's a little bit lower. And if we get that gap up and then a sell-off, you know, on Monday, tomorrow, now people that trade off of the weekly are going to be like, well, it didn't, you know, it didn't close over, and it only had that little bit, and the wick isn't, it's not like we have a big wick or anything that was like, okay, at some point we never even accomplished as much as what's in that wick. And so that's like a negative indicator, even though we saw in the 5 minutes or 15 minutes after where the trading is still active, it did push. And in fact, that could also contribute to the sell-off if it gaps up tomorrow and then closes the gap. So, but that could also be another one of their manipulations where they're going to make it look like they're going to gap and crap, and in fact, they're going to turn it around right away after everyone sells. I'm telling you, the manipulation is so crazy, and they are so good. Like the price that they drove it down to on Friday, I literally hit the sell button, and then I have it set up so I have to also hit a confirm. So I hit sell, and I'm looking at, I'm like finger over the confirm button, just like staring at the chart, seeing what's going to happen. And then I canceled it like at just a perfect second, but I'm like, oh my God, like these bitches are like so good at exactly the price they need to drive it to scare people. And I am not easily scared. Like, I hold longer than most. Like, I held the whole, this whole big-ass red candle, I held it. And they almost scared me out right there.
Very different than what we had from the gap down. If you are somebody that is a trader, you're obviously very happy. Personally, I wanted a flush to get it out of our system. To me, this means I could come up here, start rolling again, and under.
That's the other thing. If they had just let it crap and come all the way back and fill that gap, it would have repaired so much damage to the chart and launched it to the moon, but everyone would be involved in the same direction at that point. Pretty much. Like, pretty much everyone would be, we're going up. And they can't have that happen. They can't have everybody on the same side. There's got to be someone that's off sides, right? And they wouldn't have enough. If they had just let it come down here, literally it would have moonshot, and then there'd be nobody to pay for it.
Right. Cut this eventually, and the structure could change. I'm in the camp that I don't know if we're going to break out and take out new highs, and no one ever knows, or if we're going to roll over and go sideways. I think that you need to be prepared for both eventualities. In other words, understanding, are we going to go sideways? Or are we going to break out again? I don't have an answer to that. I would say that you have drivers that could do both. I don't see the way that we're going to completely collapse here when we start talking about valuations and growth drivers, which we're going to do in this video. But I do see a lot of pockets of froth and everything in some of the value names that people love to everything in the crypto space. And I do see some value in the crypto space as well as I do in the value space as well. And I want to talk today about how we're going to differentiate that so that you guys can learn to do it for yourself. But if we just do the basics and we look here for a second, we can all see the the breakout of the cues. We get it.
And then that's the thing too. So when we look at charts, and this is something I haven't been doing enough lately. The big ones are the SPY, that's S&P 500, and then the QQQ is the NASDAQ, which is a subset of the S&P 500.
Okay.
And it's the technology sector, effectively. So it's Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, like all the big names. Like all of the top of the S&P 500 is in there. Tesla, everyone.
Okay.
Now that I'm thinking, I feel like all of the top 10 companies are in the NASDAQ. This is kind of crazy, but you want the NASDAQ effectively leading. Like if the NASDAQ is not at all-time highs, but the S&P 500 is, that's not good usually. And especially if the NASDAQ isn't following. Like if it's not looking like it's about to push past. Because the technology names are where all the growth is, really, honestly. So Microsoft, Apple, Google, all these companies, that's where literally all of the growth and all of the money is in just those companies. And if those are not doing as at their peak, it doesn't matter what the rest of the market's doing, really. So probably what you have happening is like a little bit of rotation, right? Like they're taking money out of technology, putting it into the other names, and then they're going to take the money out of those names after they run them up, and the whole market's going to drop. Because we don't have tech or the rest pushing. But this is actually a really good signal because from open to close, it was only buying effectively. Like all day was just buying. Buy, 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 buy. There was no wick. We never came to a lower price ever from what it opened. And we never came down, like the close was the highest priced. It wasn't like, oh, someone in the middle of the day, it went up and then it backed off. Literally from open to close, just buying the whole time.
Gotcha.
That is a really good sign, but it's not perfect, right? Like this one, open to close buying all day, then we got a gravestone doji, which is when the doji's on the body's on the bottom and a super long wick on the top. The gravestone is usually bad. Now, in this case, it ended up not being that bad. It ended up just being a flag, but this is usually a bad sign. Again, this one, it did push up, but then it after drop. But normally, this is a really good sign that things are going to go up. If the NASDAQ is pushing, and, of course, the rest of the SPY is also up, and this is pushing up, that means you're likely to keep going, and especially if there's a catalyst. Now, in this case, the catalyst was there's no tariffs for NVIDIA and Apple and whatever. Like, the tariff risk to the biggest companies in the United States went away. Now, it might come back because we're all flippy-floppy all the time, but the latest state of affairs is they're not going to have to worry about it. And if the biggest companies in the world, like by biggest, we're talking $3 to $5 trillion companies, multiple of them, which makes up 30% of the S&P 500, now have their tariff risk removed. Okay, well, that's going to drive the market higher, and so all these things kind of coming together gives a strong confidence. But now what could happen next week is Trump be like, oh, you know what? I don't like Apple anymore because Tim Cook said something, and now tariffs are back on. And then, that could be the last piece that we need for the sell-off to happen. And then, we're down at, 600, and I'm happy as hell. And we're looking at, that castle in Germany.
Nice. Yeah. Team Venture Castle.
Yeah, Venture Castle, baby. I mean, we'll just get a big sign. I want a sign that's big enough to see from space. Or I wonder if they'll let us do like a space buoy where we can like put something that's like in space above where the like it's in orbit with the castle, and it's like a big sign in case anyone is. Oh man, I would love it. I would love it.
You've reversed. You had this bar, you came down, you reversed. Is that really it? On the cues, I think there's certain pockets that make sense. For example, if you look at the socks, you're holding in here and you didn't break. If you take a look at the heavily laden SMH, you're obviously holding in here because obviously this is way more NASDAQ based and it's also much more NVIDIA based. It's like 2x NVIDIA than the socks is. If you take a look at this, yep, you have your little doji, but you really didn't break out. I will say that you are seeing consistent buying in NVIDIA. Consistent buying in NVIDIA on the dips. It's not a little bit. It is consistent since
See, I had all my money into the S&P 500 anyway, so it's like I got the like either way I got an advantage from this, but like anyone who wasn't buying Nvidia here is a fucking retard, and I was telling everyone, like anyone and everyone. First off, I never thought it would come down that low again. When it was here, I was like, this is probably the last time you'll ever see this price again. Like and then even here is like, you know, all of these are like, oh my God, like you have to buy these. And when it got down here, it's like, we undercut this. Are you kidding me? If you're not buying this, you're retarded. And it never obviously got lower than that. But even if you waited to this pullback, like, okay, anything under 100, if you didn't take out a mortgage on your house and just say NVIDIA all day, if you put like a 1-year contract on NVIDIA on this date, even if you sold it at 150 here at this kind of breakout and you missed this part of the breakout, you'd have made like 3 times on a 1-year contract. And if you went on a couple month contract, we're talking 100, like 20 times. Like, let's go, man. Let's go.
since it broke out. You've had one retest of that area. So if we go and take a look at this, for example, we can see the rally and the pullback, and then you can't break the 12 and close below it. It's a 12, a 22, and a 55, and you keep pushing. But then you get into the fact of, you have Apple, which is now, you have the 2 largest names out there that are getting ready to rock and roll. And we're going to go into Apple in detail today. I think that you have to look at that and then look at the other drivers that came out there as well, where you're starting to see the semi-cap names move. And we're going to get into why that's going to happen. Super important, but how are institutions positioning themselves? And then you go and take.
Yeah, and then when you have something like this, right, it came right here with a power bar. The next likely thing, I mean, either we're going to get this, like, just dump because it hit this again and it's not ready, which I don't think it's going to happen, but more likely is the same bar shows up next to it. So this same bar here. Because normally what happens...
LRCX? I'm sorry, what is LRCX?
Lam Research Corporation. They are part of the semiconductor space. Let's see.
Okay. So this is another tech-oriented company.
Oh, did I type that wrong? LRC. Yeah, it's tech.
Okay. Research Corporation.
Designs, manufactures, refurbishes, and services semiconductor processing equipment used in fabrication.
Oh, these are the people that make the machines that make semiconductors, and they're the only company that makes.
Yeah, they're the only one that can make these things.
Right.
To the scale, they need to be able to make these really, really, really tiny connections on these circuits. But what's likely to happen is we're going to get another power bar. And then even, what happens is they need the price to get away. Like if it stays too close to this, it's like a magnet. So what ends up happening is you have to like break through with momentum so that the people that were stacked up here to sell change their mind effectively. Because if you stall out right here, you get all the people who initially were thinking about selling anyway, plus all the people that were buying that are like, oh, I don't know if I want this anymore because the momentum stopped. Because you get what are called momentum traders. If there's no momentum, they're going to close their trade. And what happens is that ends up causing it to reverse. So when you have this, and you'll see this even during the day, if you get too close to a resistance and you don't have momentum, usually what'll happen is it'll back off and try and like digest for a second, and then with momentum try and break. So here we took a doji at the kind of in between these two average lines. These are like price averages. And you can see, right, we're kind of following this average line. Touch, and then we're getting away from it, but we consolidated, right? We're like, okay, I need momentum. Let's digest and then blast, and then we can blast a second time here. We'll get far enough away that we can stay away from it, and then because that happens, again, it's like self-reinforcing. Now we're back onto the main trend line again. So the trend becomes restored, and you'll even see the trend line here, right? So when we get to this point, it's going to want to break with momentum. So we have like 3 or 4 of these power bars that have to happen for it to like resume the trend line. And it's likely
the power
that it
bars
will.
being the large candles with no to small wicks, correct?
Yeah, these big green.
Gotcha.
Big.
That's what I thought.
And it could be a big red too. It could be a power bar to the bottom like these. That's how you break. Like you will never break a trend with like this little doji or like
so it's both ways you usually get. Yeah, that makes looking at what you see before makes some sense too.
Yeah, even here, right? We had this like both of the line averages were here. We touched it. It was like we don't have the momentum to break all of this. And it rejects hard because it has to like, it's like a rubber band. It has to stretch. If we just go back to neutral, you can't get momentum. So it has to like stretch and encourage people because it has to flush out the people that are like scared. And it has to also encourage people that want to wait for a certain dip. Because even though 60 might be a good price, maybe because of something on the chart over here or some reason, people don't want to buy until 55. Okay, well, they have to push it there. And then you get all of the momentum from all of these orders stacked up here. And then what happens is you'll get like, let's say a 5% day because it hit the price. All these people were waiting for it jumps. And then there's the momentum traders have scanners that search all day long for stocks that move more than 5%, let's say. Okay, well, now this shows up on the momentum trader scanner. They all pile in. And now we have a 10% move. And now the momentum traders that have a 10% threshold pile in. It's like that's how you pick up the momentum. And now you have this super bar here. Get back to the average. It's like all
it is one heck of a bar by comparison to everything else.
And it's
at least maybe there's one red one that's close,
right? And that's the thing. Yeah. In order to get this, you have to pull the rubber band this way, or you have to have another catalyst. Like there could be something about news, or maybe they invented, a new thing that only they're going to be able to do, and literally everyone wants it, and they're not going to be able to sell enough of it, and they're,
right.
Then bam. But other than that, like it's got to be something like this where. Okay, we dumped, we consolidated, we dumped again. Okay, now it's ready. We broke all the trends. We're ready to build some momentum and break them the other way. And this is where all the money is made, when it's so far offsides. Now, there's nothing to say that Lamb Research ever has to do this because it's one company. And maybe they do something stupid and they start laundering money or like, I don't know. And then the company goes to zero, right? Like you there's a risk of that happening. But in the S&P 500, when you see something like this, there's not really a risk of that because it's the blend. So even if part of the S&P goes out, they bring in new companies and they fill it in, and now it's, it fixes the value. So when it gets too far out of whack down, it doesn't have anywhere to go but up. Like, what, the U.S. stock market is just going to go to zero and every company is worthless and you could buy Apple for $1 million if you wanted it. You could be the owner of Apple. Like, no. Microsoft's on the market, selling for $5 million? No, it's never going to happen.
They still have products and they're still selling those products, and that's not changing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it can only
sort of everyone being vaporized, in which case it doesn't matter anyway. So,
exactly.
Yeah,
like
sense.
The thing that would have to happen to make that go bad is like, okay, anyways, the world's over anyway, so who cares? Like your bank account number doesn't matter anymore. And that's why I'm so like I don't even care about other stocks for the most part at the moment, unless I find something that has like, you know, this has a potential to go like 300 times or something. You know, it's like,
Right.
it's like I can trust in the S&P and get like extremely good returns consistently, or I could take a risk and then, oh, now Nvidia got publicized, you know, political, and now all of a sudden, shit, I had a whole year where, you know, something went. Like, who saw that coming? Versus, you know, S&P 500.
Right.
Like, okay, that happened to one company, and another company hit a moonshot, and they evened out. Okay, great.
Take a look at like the 10-year. And to me, I think that this is really significant. You're not really falling down like they're going to cut rates forever. You had one day where they said, oh, we're going to go from 440 down, and then we kind of hung out in this area. So that's not really doing anything. You look at the dollar, and the dollar looked like it was going to rally, and then now the dollar's kind of washed out again, isn't it? So what we have, in my opinion, is a bifurcating market. And what I mean by that is you have these huge areas that are completely frothy, in my opinion, and then you have these huge areas that are hugely discounted, in my opinion. And this doesn't happen very often. Usually you get an area where there's some are discounted more than others, but it doesn't happen to this extent. And I think that people that have capital are starting to realize this. And I'll show you a couple signs of it. And I just want to go through this very, very quickly.
Yeah, look how like just
Yeah. It's like strolling along. It's like
this
a nice
is
little
not
uphill
gonna
walk.
change with Trump in office. Like this, if anything, like he's gonna, you know. And honestly, he said something on Friday about like, you know, he said something about it's a good time for investments or something, and I was like, is this one of his secret messages to like buy? Because I swear, like I don't know, like are we gonna dump it? He's gonna be like, yeah, you know, don't be scared. Because every time he says to buy stocks, if you bought, like you made a ton of money. So effectively, what we see down here and that he's going over right now is like how many stocks are at an all-time high effectively within the stock market, or are within like a certain all-time high. So within their 50-day, 20-day, you know, within the last, how long are they at the top or somewhere below that? And it's been going up, but now we're getting a little bit of it coming down again. And that can be healthy because it could just be, okay, they're taking money out of some names and going into others. So it's like just different stocks are going up,
Right.
Which is just like kind of broadening where the money is. And if like when they were all going up, it's just, okay, all the market's going up all the time in this, you know, from April until June, just everything in the whole market was going up because it went down so much, like it could only go up.
Before we jump in, if we just take a look at the breadth of the market, you're holding in here. You're in the 50s. You're going sideways. You're not really extreme anymore. You had some really extreme moves in here in both, but you're somewhat flatlining with a curvature to the upside. I mean, you see the 5. This is the 5, the 20, the 50, and the 200. But you're sort of flatlining here. And so I'm starting to have this theory that of a period of consolidation versus just rampant breaking out as we wait and see what the Fed's going to do. And I do think that people, despite everything, and I'm talking about this bifurcated market, I do think that they are positioning themselves a little defensively. So for example, if we take a look at the XLP, I think that if you look at that, it's telling you something. So if I go and take a look at the XLP and I just drop the close right there, look at this area and what we did this week while the market went higher. So they're out there buying these names, and you look at like PG and you say, well, what's wrong with him? Why is he looking at these names? Yeah, I get it that they don't look fantastic. But if you go and take a look at some of the other more favorable names that people like to trade, like the Walmarts of the world, and you think about Walmart from the
See, this is the part about this guy that drives me crazy, is he just looked at all those things and like, what was the point of any, like, what was the message? I like none of it. He's just like flipping through things. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
I'm
look
not
at
sure.
this, look at this,
They're
look
all
at this. And I'm
different,
like,
so I'm
like,
not sure
okay.
what he's pointing
yeah, and a
to.
lot of them were pointing down. And I'm like, okay, why are you even? And he's like, oh yeah, look at this. I'm like, okay. But I imagine in his brain is like it somehow is making sense in some way.
from the standpoint of a defensive name that people historically are going to use, you're breaking out here out of a base. So Walmart, like these kinds of names are telling you people are getting defensive. If you look at something like a Costco, you know, I've been watching this for some time and, you know, hoping I was going to get some kind of pullback here. I hate buying these kinds of trades because there's a DTL up here, but you are getting net buyers and you've had them since Monday. And of course you're getting that with Walmart too. You're getting those, you know, net buyers in the market after basing for a period of time. Also, if you get defensive and you look at like,
That was one hell of a bar on Walmart. Holy crap. And it filled this whole gap in like one bar. It like gapped down, had all this BS sideways, and then one power bar. And that's what I'm saying. I cannot If anything, if I can get through anything in the whole world, is these power bars are the only way typically to get through trends or resistances. Now, in this case, we came up to the resistance, which means, honestly, the most likely thing for this is this. This same bar being here is a very likely outcome, actually. So this, you know, pushing up to like 108 because it has to do, and it has to break that. But at any rate, like, these are where you make an insane amount of money, is when it's breaking these bars. Now, this is also where they play a lot of games, is like the fake out breakouts, because they'll make it look like they're going to give you one of these, and then they'll give you a huge wick and just slam you into the toilet. But when you catch one of these, like for instance, you can only lose 100%. You can gain infinity. Now, you're not going to get infinity, but there's no cap. You can get 500 times the return, or not 500. You can get 500%. You can get 200%. You can get 150%. So the fact that you can lose 100% is kind of irrelevant. In fact, that's kind of a good thing, because if I can hit a power bar that gives me 5 times my return, and I can do that 1 out of 3 power bars. Like if I see this setup and it only plays out 30% of the time, I'm still making a shitload of money. Like, so what? I lost all of it twice. I just made it 5 times. And then the next time, now I'm 5 times ahead. And then the next time, now I'm 20 times ahead. So I only have to, so out of the 10 times, even though I failed 6, I'm 20 times better off. And these are the plays you have to be patient for, and you got to let them set up, and you got to watch, and you got to have all the stars align, and you got to have your thesis, and you have to have the catalyst. But that's what I'm saying. Like, this isn't necessarily hard per se. It takes a lot of time, and a lot of time looking at, honestly, like if I had to do this completely on my own and not look at other traders, it would be a lot harder. But because I can piggyback off of, okay, this guy, I mean, he looks at sometimes just nonsense, in my opinion, but sometimes he looks at useful shit, and it's like, I wouldn't know how to find this, or I wouldn't even know like that this existed or whatever. And it's another data point that I can put on my, you know, my decision-making tree of like, okay, should I go in or not? Okay, if everyone in the whole market, all the influencers that I watch, all the traders, everyone is like, okay, this is what's happening. Okay, it's probably right. And now, what also happens though is if everyone thinks something's going to happen, usually the opposite happens. But you get a feel for it. Like the sentiment in the market is a huge thing for me, which is just a feeling. It's like, how do when people are talking about stocks, how are they talking about them? Are they, we're going to the moon? Are they fearful? How many people are fearful? Who specifically? Are these the idiots that are always wrong? Is it like, there's so much involved, but at the same time, what else could, like, if you had to invest the same amount of time that I invest into this every day, what could I do that would make me this much money? That's how I look at it, at
OnlyFans.
least. That's true. I mean, I am pretty.
You're cute.
But that was one of the things I wanted to show on the news, and I forgot, was this OnlyFans stuff happening. That's just insanity. But maybe we'll do that next week.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
sounds good to me. It seems silly to me.
Yeah, I think anyway, we can see a lot of these companies are ready to break out. There's a lot of them at trend, like at certain levels that, if all of the companies are at the level that they need to have a power bar to move forward, either the whole market's going to take a shit because it's going to reject across the board, or the whole market's going to power bar because everything is power barring, and it's self-reinforcing, right? If part of the market starts exploding and bringing up S&P in their sector, well, then maybe people will invest in the S&P, which goes into all the sectors, and then like, you know, and then that sector might hit its tipping point where now we have 3 that are going up, and now that again reinforces. And if it's fast enough or aggressive enough, now you get Momo traders, and you get you get all these things that happen. And it's like, this isn't just, I don't know. Like, I haven't been doing this long enough.
It's not completely random, but yeah, I get.
It's definitely not random, but it's also not what it was like before. Like, I'm not like 50 years into the stock market, so I wasn't, you know, at the stock exchange flipping papers in the air and like trying to buy and sell stuff on the floor. But I think things are extremely different in the way that, like, if you're just buying and holding, like, that could maybe work, especially with the S&P 500. Like, yeah, that you're gonna get something, but with most stocks, like, you have so much risk. Like, if we look at some of these stocks, like IWM is like, it's the Russell 2000. It's like the other stocks in the market that aren't part of the S&P 500. Over the last 5 years, we've gone from 150 to 240 to 150 to 240 to 180 to 230. So if you bought even at the very bottom of the Russell and held it to now, over 5 years, you made, well, I guess 40% over 5 years isn't the worst, but we can see over the last, you know, we've been in this range. Yeah, for 5 years, we've been in this range. And then before that, we were in a range for 5 years. Yeah, every 5 years, we're in a range. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that just doesn't seem good. Even this, like, sure, it's 8% for the year, but like, if we looked at 2 years, it would also be, it might be 0, but it's going to be like 8%, like, for 5 years.
Right.
So I don't know. We get this kind of like, it's just not a good idea. I mean, unless you're buying into S&P 500, okay, great. But otherwise, buying and holding, to me, is not a good strategy. You want to wait for some weird, like, rejection. And honestly, except for the S&P 500, nothing is really guaranteed to rebound. Like, Microsoft last year, let me switch back to Thinkorswim because it's easier for me. And we'll go to the daily. Oh. I need longer than a year. Where's my... I guess we'll go weekly. So last year, right, Microsoft, bloop, and you know, they had the problem where CrowdStrike actually, like, caused all the Microsoft computers to fail, and they couldn't fly planes for a day or something, and it was a big problem. And this was, honestly, this is when I didn't get into Microsoft here, but right at this point is where I deployed all of my money last year for various reasons. That, again, just at some point, if people are interested, we can talk about. But I put all of my money into the market, and the whole market did this. And I had no intention of being in the market, actually, on this day. I had actually intended to be completely sold by then, and I didn't. So, my own fault. But anyway, this happened, and this is what you want to wait for, is this. And then you buy it here. And even if we, you know, just get rid of it here, because at this point you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 red, and honestly increasing red. And then finally, this is what they call capitulation. On the 5th one, it gapped way down here because it opened here. Like, the beginning of the candle was here. The beginning of the candle on each of these was at the top. The beginning of this one was way down here, so there's a huge gap. That's what you call capitulation.
This is Microsoft specifically again.
Yeah, this is Microsoft. Yeah, and this was last summer. It was up to 467, and it went all the way down to 390. on, you know, I think the biggest company in the world at the time, or top 3 for sure. And it went down by almost 17.5%. And once we see this gap down, now even that gap down, as soon as we saw it turn around and go green, you probably could have bought it like right here at this. Once it broke like this average line,
Right.
you probably could have bought it, yeah, right around 395, I would say. Well, I mean, the top was 555, but even, you know, going into that 525 is reasonable. So 525 from, you know, 395. And that's with shares, so you're making $140 a share, about 50% return. No, not 50. More like 40. But that's on shares, and if you use options, like if you had got leaps here, well, obviously you probably should have sold them here, but if you had leaps here and held it through all this trash, and then this power bar and everything, you know, we're talking like 4 or 5 times
Yeah.
your return. And that's why you just wait for this kind of shit to happen. Like this, you would not expect this to happen to Microsoft, that it would have a 17% dip. And then it did it again here, but this was the tariff stuff. You know, 23%. Microsoft down here, if you're not buying now, this is the shitty part about this. This wick came so close. Like I bet a lot of people were waiting for this average line. Like I think literally
Just didn't
everyone
get there.
would have bought at 350. Like I could imagine 335 was like loaded, and it was going to go down. Honestly, if Trump had not made his announcement about the pause, it was going 100%. It was going to come down further to here. So anyway, you watch for these types of things. Even this, like, you know, even if you're like, okay, I'm going to buy this one because it finally closed here. Okay, this is March 10th. This is 3 months later, right? We're at 390, almost 490. So $100 on, so 25% on shares. That's easily 75% to 300% with options. So that's what I'm saying. Just patience. Patience is key. Patience is key. Waiting for good opportunities. I see people all the time on like Wall Street Bets showing all their stuff. I'm like, man, all they're doing is over trading. They're going for like low probability trades. They're like, they need to do something. It's like, and I get it. Like sometimes when I'm not trading, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. But in fact, by not doing something, you are doing something. And being aware of where to make the right entry, that is so critical. Right. And I'm really excited to get to this $1 million. I would love to hit that $1 million of outperformance by the end of the year. I'd give the account right around $2 million. And then next year, we can look at how will we finance a castle. Would anyone come visit us at Venture Castle? Would anyone travel the world to Venture Castle? What do you think? Did I lose you?
Oh no, I thought you were asking the chat. I would go for sure.
Well, yeah, we would go, but do you think anyone would come join us?
I sure hope so.
That Venture Castle we looked at had a moat, though. Do you think people... Is anyone afraid of crocodiles? Or is it alligators? What are are they crocodiles?
There would be crocodiles. Alligators are only in... I think are only in the United States. Or in North America.
They're only in North America?
I think so. I think they're unique to... I think they're unique to the United States, to be honest. I don't know about that one for sure. Like, there could be alligators. 100% positive.
All right. I'm going to show one last thing. Bear with me for just a moment. Sure, I get the right thing open this time before I change my screens. All right, let me pull that up. Where is it? Chrome. All right, just recap. I'm going to show these two Roth accounts. This is over the last 3 months, but same is true for longer, for the whole year, actually. Most of the trades anyways are in the last 3. 100% realized gains. For this account, we bought $10,000 worth of... Nope, we bought $90,000 worth of stuff and sold $110,000, so we made 20 G on this. And you can see the returns are anywhere from, you know, a couple percent, which is usually I'm closing a trade because I'm fearing it's going to go the other way, to you know, 25 all the way up to 70 some here. But in the more recent trades, we have 20% up to 58%. And yeah, I remember closing these ones, the 50 and 58%, taking a little bit off the table, and a couple 30%. So those were the more recent trades. We'll show one more here. Another one. Also 100% gains with a similar kind of profile here on the... So this
Happy
is what
little green
patience is
circles
all
going
about.
up higher. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So in case anyone was wondering how we make all this magic happen, you wait for high probability trades and you lean as much of your account into it as possible. I don't understand why people say only put a small percentage of your account into a position. If you're picking stocks, yes. If you're going with the S&P 500, and that's why I think it's really the only thing that makes sense to trade, is because my literal goal is to get as much money into any... Like, if I've opened a position, why did I open it if I don't think it's going to make money? Number one. And number two, if I'm waiting to only open positions that I think I can make at least 20%, like, I don't open a position if I don't think I can make at least 20%. And I'll settle with 10, but if I don't think this has a shot at 20%, let alone 100 or 200%, I'm not opening it. And if I see a trade that looks like this is at 80% plus, well, guess what? I'm trying to get at least half my account on it. And if it's a trade that looks like 100%, okay, believe me, I'm trying to get every single dollar I have into that. Now, I might put some into a hedge. Like, I might take 80% of my account into a long position, like let's say a 1 month. And then I'll put 10% of my account into a really short term, like 1 week, that it's going to drop. And what that will do is say, okay, well, if I messed up and the market drops and I fucked my 80%, that 10% will actually grow to 80% and it won't matter. So it'll cancel. And then I can rebuy at the low. So anyway, there's a lot of fancy strategies that you can do, but these accounts I only open a trade if I'm extremely confident that it's going to be profitable. And you can see I did no trades in between. And then when I did these ones, and they were relatively short term, these were only a couple days, we had 20 to 30 to 57% returns.
Okay.
So good stuff. All right. Well, I know we kind of covered a lot. I am super excited for this challenge.
My head hurts a little bit.
But I'm hoping people get a little bit of sense of what's going on. That this is not like, this is no joke. This is some serious trading. This is big money. This is multiplying the account. Like I said, we're up, you know, well, from the beginning of the year, we're up about 200%, meaning tripled the account. Actually, we're almost at 4 times at this point. It's almost up 300% from the beginning of the year. So keep that in mind. Doing very well this year. When you hear these people with their trade alert services and bullshit, keep your speculation on. This is all bullshit. Any of them making hundreds of % return? No. So, and what is their win-loss ratio? Like, I feel like to some extent, like I like seeing the 100%, but if I lowered this and it was like 90%, but this was like 120% returns every time, I mean, I'd be fine with that. So it's a balance, right? Like if I need to give up a little bit of this to make this better. I would love to be able to just make this better, but I think, you know, I have to do a little bit better job balancing that. But for now, I'll accept the 100%. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you're still out there, thanks for hopping in. Always good to see you. Anyone else that comes across this, would love to chat with you more about finances. Love to see you in the Discord. Talk more about all that. But if you're interested in games, we're around on Tuesdays and Saturdays. Join us then, and we'll chat with you all next time.
Have a great one.